Kia ora e te whānau. Welcome to this episode of Light Lunch. My name is Hannah Nansett and I'm Projects Lead at the Institute, and I'm joined today by Mel Tristram and Andrew Field, and I'm going to head over to Mel to introduce herself. These two have a lot to their name in terms of things that they're involved in, so I'll let them explain for themselves. Mel, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Hannah. So I'm Mel, or Melanie, but I do prefer Mel. I'm a principal here at Jasmax in the Tamaki Makaurau office. I'm head of the digital delivery team, and that sits under what's known as the knowledge and innovation team at Jasmax. And under that team, we have legal, we have sustainability, we have technical, and the digital team. So we're quite a bespoke little wee unit within a practice of our size. I'm also the Women in BIM lead for Auckland, and we hold regular catch-ups with local women within the industry to try and get that collegial nature going with everybody. As Hannah kind of alluded to it, I was involved with the New Zealand BIM Handbook and the Digital Guidance Suite with Andrew and our fellow friends Glenn Jowett and Christian McCartney, and I was also involved with the New Zealand CIC guidelines. For both, we are always open to feedback, and there could be some small updates coming to both of those documents shortly. And it's back over to you, Hannah.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, as I said, Mel needed to introduce herself because there's a lot of accolades to your name. And yeah, I had the pleasure of working with both Mel and Andrew on the BIM handbook update last year. So over to you, Andrew.
Kia ora koutou. So yes, I'm Andrew Field. I'm a business director in Beca, and my area of specialty is in digital transformation. I come from a project management background, so I do get to work on construction projects. Like Mel, I've had a long-standing period of time in the industry working in what does digital mean for construction and design. I've been a member of the BIM Acceleration Committee, and then more recently, BIM and NZ Steering Group, along with Mel, and really just part of that collegial group of people in New Zealand who are really just trying to make a difference about how we can deliver projects better, and what role does digital and information and new types of skills help support us move forward. The part of Beca that I'm in is really in the advisory space, so I spend a lot of time with clients. And as testament to that, I spent a couple of years on secondment for the New Zealand Transport Authority, Waka Kotahi, and really helped to shape and understand those client needs around what does digital mean for our major transport agency. So, yep, looking forward to our discussion today.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Mel, for giving up your time today. This is only 15 minutes. I can tell everyone who's watching that Mel and Andrew have given up significant time for the industry in terms of everything that's going on. So yeah, we thank you for today, but everything else as well. So how Light Lunch works is the heavy hitting part one, talking about what issues we're facing in the industry at the moment, and then we get to the lighthearted stuff where we hear about what Mel and Andrew do to keep happy when they're not working. So we'll start with the hard hitting questions, and Mel, I'll go to you first. What is one of the things that is keeping you up at night? I'm sure there's many, but what is one?
One is a morpok that sits outside our bedroom window every night. We can hear it calling across the river, which is more of a nice kind of sound, really, compared to what is happening within the industry at the moment. For me, a big concern is the stop-start nature of our projects and that impact that it's having to us as a business. But more so that impact that it's having to our staff, kind of providing them a bit of an uncertainty. But yeah, I think it's across the whole industry. It's not just architectural practices, it's across the construction and across all of the other disciplines. But we're finding that there are more projects that are kind of being put on pause. And those are for various reasons, kind of approvals and funding. But for the top one is the government confidence, I suppose, is very waning for those projects to be moving forward.
And it's being felt widely, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's not specific to Auckland, or it's definitely nationwide.
Yeah.
I think, Mel, just pick up on what you've shared there. It's probably one of my key ones as well, is that confidence in the pipeline of work. And then what does that mean for our people? What does it mean for that graduate, that intern, that person who's at an intermediate level? So I'm really concerned about how do we give those people good opportunities to learn and grow? And then how do we retain that talent? And so that to me has probably been one of the key things that I lie awake contemplating.
Yeah, I heard the other day that people are going back to study because they just cannot find a job at the moment. So it is concerning out there. Andrew, is that your first one, or
That'd be my
have you
first
got?
one. Yeah,
That'll be your
absolutely.
first one. Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to you, Mel. What is the second thing keeping you up?
I think
Another bird?
I was just another bit. No, I think everyone's going to think that Andrew and I colluded prior to this meeting, or that we've shared notes. But because of that stop-start nature of our projects, and we've got that concern about our staff, the other one is the market is becoming so much more competitive. There are so many more people who are looking, or practices that are looking for project wins, that we seem to really be having a race to the bottom. Who's going to be able to deliver that project for the client for the cheapest? And to be honest, we all know that cheapest isn't always better. You're not going to necessarily get the same outcomes. So we really need to be looking at how we can set ourselves apart from everybody. What is it that we should be looking at as a business internally, to create those opportunities and for efficiency, to prove back to our client that, hey, well, we might not be the cheapest, but do you really want cheap? So yeah, for me, it's that competitive nature and what our clients are actually getting for that bottom dollar.
It's great, Mel. I was thinking, my part two question was going to be, what do we do about that? But you're right, it's that working out internally what you can offer, that doesn't have to be because you're cheaper, but you can offer this or that. So I think that's a really great suggestion for people listening. Andrew, have you got
Yeah,
a similar?
Yeah, I think I can pick up again a little bit from where Mel was at, but it does roll into the work that both she and I are engaged with, which is what role can digital enablement play, or digital delivery play, to help support that kind of messaging around how to drive efficiency or support those clients with those challenges that they have. And so we've got a little bit of an internal process to go through as well, to explain that to our colleagues who are thinking about what's that next bid price going to be, how are they going to deliver that work, and say, and by the way, we'd like you to do this work a bit differently. And so we've got this dual challenge of shaping and influencing a business, as well as getting that cut through in the messaging with clients to say that we are delivering value, we're delivering it in a different way, and these are the mechanisms of the digital approach that will help achieve that. And so I think that's definitely topical, but we really need to make the language easy to understand, and often digital might not even be a part of that discussion.
Completely agree with that, because I imagine with the digital space, because it's fast moving and there's lots of changes that are happening, you have to kind of bring people along the journey. I mean, both of you are experts in this field, so you kind of can preempt or know what's coming up. But I imagine for clients, it's a lot harder to understand that kind of fast pace. So that must be a challenge for
Yeah,
consultants
absolutely.
at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Clients are worried about their own concerns. Do they have enough people? Do they have enough budget? And coming back to that certainty of the work coming through, how are they going to make a decision if there's perceived additional cost? And so we just really have to help, unpick that.
Absolutely. Mel, what is your third thing keeping you up at night?
It probably aligns with what both Andrew and I've been talking about, and what my previous two concerns were. And correct, I mean, at the core of that is our people. So, how do we retain those people? How do we give them those opportunities to grow? And I think part of it does link into, with those competitive natures of projects coming through, is how do we look for those opportunities? And how do we involve those graduates to provide them those opportunities to start to investigate some new initiatives? and to feedback. When we've got projects that are on hold, or we've got projects that aren't coming through, and we've got that lack of certainty, people do look elsewhere. We've been talking about that people are looking to upskill, or worse yet, they'll go overseas, and all of a sudden our talent's gone. We're having to work out ways to grow that new talent. So with our people, it's really about providing them the opportunities that we have within the business, on how we can grow them and what initiatives there are, looking at a work-life balance, and perhaps with some of our graduates, because we know they all go overseas, that they'll get to a certain point in their career and they'll want to go off and explore, which we don't want to hold them back from that. But is there an opportunity for us to say, well, hey, why don't you take 6 months off? Like, you've got a job when you come back. But while you're out there, go and talk to these people over in Europe and look at how they're doing things, and can you bring that information back to us to see how we can improve our efficiencies. So it's really, how do we look out for our people in the time that we are at the moment? How do we make sure that they come back? But how do we look after them and support them in an uncertain environment at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, specifically the construction industry, there is a lot of uncertainty and very, we're lacking job opportunities for people to even get started. So it's that, incentivizing, the ones that we do have to retain them. I agree. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, look, I really endorse what Mel has said, and I think the ability to give people the best learning opportunity that we can while that exists is really important. But also finding opportunities where we might have a project that you could actually do from New Zealand, but it might be based in Australia or in Asia, but your knowledge and your specialty is going to be valued and appreciated even if you're based here. So that's a pathway to give people a little bit more confidence in the work, but also supporting them when they do want to go away. I think that is a really key part of how do you maintain that long-term view of your talent pipeline. Essentially, you support people while they're with you, and you support them as they go and do new things, and they're much more likely to return to that environment where they've felt empowered. So I think that's a really cool thing for us to consider.
Yeah, you kind of touched on one thing. We look at our pipeline for projects, but how we're looking at that pipeline for our employees, to retain them and gain their knowledge and kind of have that to feed into the next generation. So
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. People want that security, but also want to live their lives. It's if you can combine that, it's best outcome for everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. I actually felt that was a very positive, hard-hitting. I thought there were lots of solutions, and it was more uplifting than I thought it would be in this time of with the industry. But let's go to the light-hearted part of Light Lunch, and where we find out a little bit about you guys. So I'm going to start with Mel. What are you reading, listening, or watching at the moment?
I did come slightly prepared. I don't have any props though. So I commute. So being in Auckland, I have about an hour-long commute each way. So I've been looking into some podcasts, and a bit of a light-hearted one, although it's I started looking into it. So it's Mel Robbins. She does a really good podcast about life, about how to read people, how to basically get the best out of yourself. So I've been listening to hers, and she makes me giggle and kind of in the way that she presents it. So that's kind of a bit of a light-hearted one with a good underlying message. But the book that I have just finished reading is The Leap to Leader by Adam Bryant. So I've been in a leadership role at Jasmax for some time. I've got a team of 6 people, recently promoted to a principal, but felt that I didn't know exactly how to lead. I can manage, so I kind of picked up that book, and it's been a great read. So I do recommend that to anyone who wants to make that jump from being a manager to being a leader within your business.
Thanks, Mel. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I was contemplating quite where to begin. So I thought I'd begin with a couple of lighthearted ones. So I've been watching an Australian show called Mr. In Between, which is a little bit dark, but really interesting. It's about the day in the life of an Australian hitman in the underworld. So it really does take my mind off other things. The people on
Absolutely.
that show have bigger problems than what we encounter. But I really like that it's got complex character development and it's packed into sort of 20, 25 minutes. So quite a fun show to watch. That's on Disney Plus. And
Disney, okay, I'll hope that one.
I'm also following the Apple series called Silo, which is post-apocalyptic world, and again, really quite an interesting underlying story. I have up until recently been, consumed with the news around the American election. I read the New York Times regularly, and I've just been reading it a little bit less recently in the kind of aftermath of the US presidential election. And actually, that's been a pretty good salve.
I think it's a wise decision just to step back from that and watch some apocalyptic escape
Yep.
TV series.
One last thing I would add is I've been dusting off some Pearl Jam because I did go to the concert in Auckland a couple of weeks ago,
Awesome.
and just kind of engaging with that Gen X,
Yes.
culture.
Very cool. I
Awesome.
love that for you, Andrew. Awesome. Mel, what is something you do for your well-being?
I know it's part of my well-being, but we have a dog. We have an English Springer Spaniel. She's nearly 2, and she needs lots of walking. So the alarm goes off at 5:30. I'm kind of out of bed by about 5:45 and taking her for a kind of 4K walk most mornings. But that aside, for me, for my well-being, when I really want to kind of look after myself, is I bake. And that kind of feeds lots of people. But I can get into a happy place and I'll start baking things. In fact, we had a shared morning tea this morning, so I made a few things last night and woke up and went, oh, I don't know, those 2 things quite enough. So I put a batch of scones in the oven before I came to work. So yeah,
That's awesome.
We want to work with you, Mel. Gosh, what's your signature?
pretty good.
What's your signature dish?
Oh, ginger crunch would be the favourite in the family. But I got a few accolades this morning for the scones with jam and cream, but also for the old school chocolate crackles. So,
yeah. How about you, Andrew? Is that what are you a baker?
Yeah,
What
well,
do you
look,
do
really
for
similar theme. So I really enjoy cooking dinner with my daughter. So she's 11 and she's really engaged with doing homemade nachos or lasagna, which is a little bit more of a family one. We hand make the pasta, we do the whole thing from start to finish, and everyone gets involved. And it's a remarkably relaxing activity. You kind of give yourself the time, you get the ingredients. There's nothing better than just making something for yourself. And I just love seeing my daughter and my son get involved, and you can kind of tell it's an opportunity to just have a conversation about stuff away from devices, away from the other day-to-day distractions, and you just slow down. So I really enjoy that. And also I love heading off into the Greenbelt around Wellington. So I live near Mount Victoria, and it's great to just get up into the trails and go for a walk and just free your mind. So yeah, that's my thing.
It's the beautiful weather the last few days. So hopefully you've got
amazing.
Yeah, changes everything, the mood. Yeah. I'll go to you, Andrew, for this. What is your motto in life?
Yeah, so this is a motto that I heard recently from a contractor, and I really liked it. It's the idea that you run towards the fire. You don't shy away from the difficult things.
Yeah,
And
of course.
I actually really like that idea that we often might leave the hard stuff until later, but sometimes you just need to go and confront it. So yeah, run towards the fire. It is coined by Meg Whitman, who was the CEO of Hewlett Packard some years ago, and it's kind of gained a bit of currency as a leadership mantra. So I really like that.
Love it. Mel, are you running towards the fire? What's yours?
Yeah, I hadn't actually thought about a motto, to be honest, Hannah. I don't know if I have one, but for me, it's how I can support people. I like to collaborate. I like to share knowledge. And one of the things I'm trying to work on at the moment within the practice is how do we share the knowledge that we have within everybody, and how do we kind of capture that to be able to disseminate it out. So no, not really a motto, but
Oh,
quite keen
absolutely. That's
to share that
incredibly
knowledge.
important.
It's cool, Mel.
Yeah. And I think this is a really good place to finish because I think you're both incredible, people, people who want to help people. And obviously, with the next generation, we want to kind of supply them with as much resource and advice as we can. So, Mel, can you give us a piece of advice that you would give to the next generation?
Bit of a corny one, but never stop learning. Keep looking for those opportunities to grow yourself. There's you mentioned it earlier, Hannah. There's so much happening in the technology space that we're actually not even sure what's going to come next. So keep those opportunities open to learn new things, and really just stay curious about life.
Great. How about you, Andrew?
I think what Mel said is great, by the way. It's just such a great mantra around how to encourage people to learn, take on new skills. I was going to add that I think it's really important that people understand what this brave new world of generative AI and those types of tools and systems might mean, but actually to feel empowered and encouraged to learn about it in a way that can support them to be even better at what they do. So that's one element, but absolutely spend time with people, listen to people, talk with people, understand things from other people's perspective, and bring that richness to your own learning going forward. So
I know, and people want to help, people like you. I mean, it's that mentorship. I think if you ask people these days, everyone is willing to give a bit of advice. That's what I've found anyway. So thank you both so much for giving your time up today, and for everything else that you have done for not only NZOB but for the wider industry. We really appreciate your passion and your drive, and I know that people watching today equally thank you to both of you. So appreciate your time today, and all the best.
Thank you, Hannah.
Ka kite anō.
Thanks, Mel.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.